Hola a todos! Welcome back to a new series. This is going to focus on the speaking exam for the new GCSE. If you are in year 11 and you are about to sit a Spanish GCSE this year, then you are going to be in the first cohort of people sitting the new GCSE. This series is going to give you everything you need to know about how to succeed on the speaking exam, and we're starting with the picture description. So let's get started. Okay, so what is the picture task? Why do you need to know it? Well, it is the third task in your speaking exam, regardless of whether you do higher or foundation. It will be the third task you do, and the first thing within the task that you need to do is describe the picture. It's worth 8 marks in the speaking exam, and you will, good point, know the topic in advance. So at some point, I'm not entirely sure when, but in the month or 2 months leading up to your speaking exam, you will be given from the exam board a choice of 2 topics, which your picture will be on, and you get to choose one. So you might get 2 topics that you hate, but at least you choose one and then you know in advance to prepare for that topic. Okay? This is one of the tasks, the picture description, that you will prepare for during your preparation time at the start of your speaking exam. So you will have 14 minutes to prepare on your own before you go into the room with your teacher to do the exam. And the picture task is the main thing you will do in that time. And the task goes, you describe the picture, then there will be some unexpected questions, which we will look at in a future video, and then the follow-up conversation where you will be asked questions, and the chances are that you will have prepared some questions as a basis of this conversation in class. For the picture description, you must talk about people, location, and action. So if we look at the mark scheme from the exam board, this is what we've got. So content marks, for a higher tier, in order to get full marks, you must address all 3 bullet points, and that is the people, the location, and the action. And you must do it with a consistent level of detail. And we look in this video, basically we're going to look at how you can ensure that you're giving that consistent detailed development that is required to get the 4 marks. Because having looked at the examples that the exam board have given us, getting those 4 marks is not easy. You really do have to do quite a lot. But the good news is you can be so well prepared for that in advance. For foundation, you only need to have addressed 2 of those bullet points in order to be able to access the 4 marks. So people, location, place, again, 2 of those things, with a good level of development still. And then if we look at language, it's very vague here. Wide range of vocab, grammatical structures, consistently accurate, and similarly for foundation, some variety, but it's not telling us what the variety is. So, good news. I have made this. Now, this is a lot when you look at it initially, but let me break it down for you. So the top half, the 1 to 6, is the content. Okay, so this is basically, if you do all of these things, you should be getting 4 marks for content on higher. So if you do them for foundation, you'll definitely be getting 4 marks. Then the bottom part is the language, and this is basically, if you do everything in the content part of the top half, you will automatically be ticking off these marks for language. But just so you can see what the language marks, what good language, good detail, a variety looks like for this task, this is what we've got at the bottom. Okay, and if we just go into a little more detail, in the language to use column, I just want to show you that the difference between a couple of the lines. So if we look at the 3rd line down in the who box, you give extra details about their appearance, and it says tiene, and then, or en in brackets, el pelo, and then there's a straight vertical line, tiene los ojos, and a vertical line is dash son. So first of all, the en in brackets we use if we are talking about plural people. So if I'm just talking about he or she, I would say tiene. If I'm talking about they, I say tienen. And you can see this further down as well with the difference between lleva and llevan. So it's the idea that if we're just talking about he or she, we don't have the n, but if we're talking about they, we add the n. Then the vertical line is a new sentence. It's not saying or, it's giving you like another sentence that you could use as well. So you could talk about their hair and their eyes. But if you see like a diagonal dash, that is saying use this or the other. So you would say is, he or she is, or son. If we go further down, you would say una falda or un vestido or un pantalón. So that's just so you understand the formatting of this grid. But we're going to move away from this now because it's maybe a bit too overwhelming. If you want to pause now and take a screenshot of this, then do, but we are going to come back to this in a less overwhelming version very soon. So we're going to do 3 examples. The first one, I have written the description and you're going to translate it into English. Then we'll do one where you translate it into Spanish, and then you'll do one freehand on your own. So this is the first picture. So just take a look at it so you know what we're describing, and we are going to use this now with just the content criteria, and I have written the description for you. So in the language to use column is actually the description, showing you what each section of the criteria would look like as a sentence to describe the photo. So I suggest you pause the video now and you have a look at the translation, you do the translation, and then you come back for the answers. However, if you aren't super familiar with the vocabulary yet, there is a Quizlet set linked in the description of the video. You may want to practice that and come back, or you might just want to open the Quizlet link so you have the reference there and use it to help you with the translation. Yeah, so you decide if you're just going to pause and translate on your own. If you need a bit more help with the vocab, pause, open the Quizlet and use that to help you do the translation, and come back when you want the answers. Okay, so our answers are as follows. En la foto hay 4 personas, un hombre, una mujer y 2 chicas. In the photo there are 4 people, a man, a woman, and 2 girls. And giving that extra specific detail about who they are is an easy way to add detail, but it makes you look good. Creo que son una familia. I think they are a family. Again, very easy way to add extra information. You're speculating. People like when you do that. You're making evaluations based on what you can see. La madre tiene el pelo castaño y largo. El padre no tiene pelo. The mother has long brown hair. The dad doesn't have hair. Okay, so I'm trying to be as specific as I can. I've given 2 people here just to make sure that I'm giving more detail. Diría que están contentos. I would say that they are happy. And then the second part of the sentence underneath follows on. Dado que están sonriendo, given that they are, my apologies, that should be given that they are smiling. Están sonriendo is they are smiling. What are they wearing? Las personas llevan ropa de calle. The people are wearing casual clothes. This is one of my top tips, is where you can learn really like generic terms, because like you can't guarantee that you are going to know exactly how to describe the clothes that they're wearing in the picture. Like they might be wearing something really random, or you might just be having a day where you've completely forgotten how to say skirt or shirt. So if you learn the phrase casual clothes, that basically covers you for anything they're wearing. And then you can, so in the sentence underneath here, I have gone into more detail. La chica a la izquierda lleva una camiseta blanca. Great. The girl on the left is wearing a white t-shirt, but if I couldn't think of the word, I could just say, la chica a la izquierda lleva ropa blanca. So learning the phrase ropa de calle, which means casual clothes, is just covering me for when I see a picture and I don't know how to describe the clothes. A mi juicio, la camiseta es bonita. In my judgment, the t-shirt is pretty. Okay, now we've covered people, now we're moving on to location. Parece que están en España, and I've been specific here with Granada because I do know the place. It looks like they are in Granada, Spain. Why? Porque se puede ver la Alhambra al fondo. So this is like specific cultural knowledge that you are not expected to have at GCSE, but it looks nice if you do have it. So you may occasionally find ways to drop into the conversation that you do know lots of things about Spain and Spanish culture. So in this case, the building in the background of the picture we saw is called La Alhambra. It is a palace in Granada. It's beautiful. It was built by the Moors, so very like Arab influences. It's really cool. Definitely worth a trip to Granada in general. But that is my justification then of why I think they are in Granada. Al fondo hay muchos árboles y edificios. La ciudad es bonita. In the background, there are lots of trees and buildings. The city is pretty. Okay, so I can say that regardless of whether I know which city they're in or not. One thing I would say is if you're going to just be generic and say, I think they are in a country, always go for Spain, unless there is really obvious evidence to the contrary, because this is Spanish GCSE, so chances are this picture was taken in a Spanish-speaking country. Then time. Creo que esta foto fue sacada en verano. I think this photo was taken in summer. Dado que hace mucho sol, so finishing the sentence, given that it's very sunny. And finally, las personas están sacando una foto. The people are taking a picture. Okay, so for part 6, the action, we have to use the present continuous tense. And I'm linking a video now at the top of the screen. If you are not confident with the present continuous, which is saying are doing something, and you can see the formation of that in the previous answer when it was están sacando. If you're not confident with that tense, then have a look at the video or cue it for watching after this video. It's 5 minutes and it will take you through everything you need to know to use the present continuous tense for this task in particular. Okay, so that's model 1 done. So now the next step will be more over to you. So here is the next picture. They are eating lots of tapas in a restaurant. I am recording this video just before dinner, so it's making me super hungry, seeing the croquetas, the tortilla, jamón, lots of really great Spanish food on there. So I have written for you this time the criteria. So you want to look in the criteria column this time. I've written you the English description. I've left you the language to use in the column on the right. And you now need to pause the video and translate the English sentences in the criteria column into Spanish using the language in the language to use column, and obviously you need to adapt it and fill in some of the gaps. And again, pause the video to do this and come back when you are ready for the answers. Okay, so here we go. In the photo there are 2 people. En la foto hay 2 personas. You might have argued and thought, but there's more people. You could say muchas personas if you wanted. Or there are 2 people in the foreground and more people in the background if you want to be super specific with your detail. I think they are friends. Creo que son amigos. The woman has long black hair and the man has short black hair. So, la mujer tiene el pelo negro y largo. Y el hombre tiene el pelo corto y negro. Emotions. I would say that they are happy. Diría que están contentos. We add the N because it's they are. And contentos because it's 2 people. Given that they are smiling. Dado que están sonriendo. They are wearing casual clothes. Las personas llevan ropa de calle. The man is wearing an interesting shirt. El hombre lleva una camisa interesante. Remember, adjective always goes after the noun in Spanish, or almost all the time. In my judgment, the shirt is very ugly and boring. A mi juicio, la camisa es muy fea y aburrida. And look at my adjectival agreement here because I'm talking about la camisa. It looks like they are in a Spanish restaurant. Parece que están en un restaurante español. And the word order here, when I'm marking work of my students, I often see un restaurante español there will be wrong word order, or it will say el instead of un. So make sure you have used un and you've put español after restaurante and that you spell restaurante correctly, because it's the same as English with an E on the end, but again, that's a very badly spelled word in general. Because you can see jamón, croquetas, and tortilla on the table, dado que se puede ver jamón, croquetas y tortilla en la mesa. The restaurant is quite dark but modern. El restaurante, apologies for the spelling mistake, is bastante oscuro pero moderno. So oscuro is the word for dark. I think this photo was taken in autumn. Creo que esta foto fue sacada en otoño. Given that in the background you can see many jackets. Dado que al fondo se pueden ver muchas chaquetas. I've gone for se pueden here because the thing I can see is plural. You can argue against this. So this is not like if you get this right and you use it, it looks really fancy. But you can argue that se puede ver is just one can see, and therefore it's not essential to use. But if you can remember that if the thing you can see is plural, you use se pueden ver, then that's going to be super impressive and help you get those 4 marks for language. The people are eating tapas and drinking beer. And remember to go and check out that video on the present continuous if you weren't sure about how to form this, or if when you see the answer it's not correct. Las personas están comiendo tapas y bebiendo cerveza. So that video was linked earlier. If you need to have a look, it's the present continuous tense to help you with the formation of that. You will not get full marks on higher if you do not do the action section, and to do the action section you have to be able to use that tense. So it will impact your marks for language and for content. Okay, so hopefully now you're feeling super confident and you are ready to try this all on your own. So here is the picture. Here is the grid for all the language you should use. I'll just give you some background information. This woman is dancing flamenco, so when you're talking about the action, you could also say the man is playing the guitar. It's good if you can be specific and say the woman is dancing, but the man on the right is playing the guitar. They are in La Plaza de España in Sevilla. So Seville, a major city in the south of Spain. This is a very famous square and you can often see flamenco dancers there. So that's just some knowledge for you. You don't need to know that again. You could just say, I think they are in Spain because the woman is wearing a flamenco skirt. Like, there are other things. You don't have to be that specific, but just some cultural knowledge for you. So again, pause the video, write your description, and if you want to type your description into the comments, then I can have a look and give you some feedback. Okay, so just finally then, what do you need to be doing between now and your speaking mocks, which I'm sure for all year 11s will be happening before Christmas? How can you improve your picture task description? So first, learn the vocab. Make sure you know all the phrases in the Quizlet link that is in the video description. Regular practice, so it's not difficult to just Google a picture related to topics you are learning. Do 1 per week. Choose topics you really don't like as extra practice. Time yourself when you're doing this practice. You don't want to use more than 10 minutes of your prep time to write your description. So time yourself now as you're doing it so that you learn how to maximize that time. And top tip, you might actually allow yourself more time now so that you go through the process properly, and the more you do it, the more you will speed up. So you might need 15 minutes now, and in a month or 2 months time with weekly practice, you can do what you can do in 10 minutes what you currently need 15 minutes to do. Use AI for feedback. So take a screenshot of the success criteria that I showed you in this video and ask an AI chatbot to give you feedback on the description you've written against this checklist, and you can also ask it to correct your language errors if you want. And believe in yourself. So the more you practice, the more you will be able to improvise on the day. Okay, so just because you haven't written down part of the description doesn't mean you can't just wing it in the moment in the exam and say it. Okay, and ideally you will get yourself to a point where all you have to do is write the sentence starters and you are able to just improvise with the rest of the sentence once you're into the exam. So I hope that was really useful. Like I said, we're going to continue do this series now on the speaking practice so that by the time your speaking mock comes around, you know exactly what to do and you can just boss that exam. So I will see you next week. Hasta la próxima semana.